Hi everybody, this is Scott Dudley from SaaS Startup Stories, and today my special guest is Tyler Kemp, who's based in Denver, Colorado. Tyler is the founder and CEO of Leadrolecom. He's been on the marketing advisory board of a $16 billion finance company, and he's helped build several 7- and 8-figure enterprises. He's considered an expert in outbound high-ticket sales, and he's got hundreds of clients behind his belt. Welcome to the show, Tyler. You ready to rock and roll?
Oh man, I am always ready. Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries, you sound pumped, so that's great. Let's get stuck into it then. So we'll start off with your background and what initially got you interested in outbound lead generation and also working with high-ticket service providers and SaaS professionals.
Yeah, SaaS is an amazing market. I've got a secret love relationship with SaaS because of high margins, high scalability. Quick background on me. You're absolutely right in your intro. Honestly, some things people don't know necessarily is I cut my teeth in the mortgage space, actually. A long time ago, I started my first business back in, I don't know, maybe just over a decade ago, I think, maybe around 15 years ago. And in the lending space, I was working with a single loan officer. Together, he and I were doing 120 million in loan volume year over year. It was really crazy. Went on to be on the marketing advisory board of like you said, a $16 billion finance company, one of the world's largest non-depository lenders. Learned a ton. In fact, what I learned more than anything else was the fact that referrals and things like that is what so many businesses rely on. They don't have predictability. They can't control their demand. Once I cracked that code, is when things started really getting crazy for me. I got tired of the enterprise life, went into SaaS startup land, started working with a company that's incubated by 500 startups. And we started out with just 7 of us and no demand to speak of. But when I stepped in, company was about 60 grand a month, and they brought me on because it was time to go national and it was time to get pretty serious about what they were doing. And in 8 months, we were able to go from 60 grand a month to 200 grand a month in this startup, before I exited and went on to found Leadrolecom. And that kind of leads us to where we are today. Obviously, that's been, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. To your point, hundreds of clients behind our belt now. We specialize specifically in driving high tickets or high lifetime value clients. We book these appointments. Folks pay us. It's not terribly cheap to do what we do. Data alone, right? You go to a Zoom Info or a Clearbit or company like this, it's so easy to blow 30 grand, 50 grand, 75 grand on just information. And what we do is we provide all of that plus crazy intent and stuff literally impossible. There is no place to get the kind of things that we can get, which I'd be excited to even talk about a little bit later on, but there's a lot of really secretive stuff about it just because we're under strict NDAs. However, some of the things we've been able to figure out were not even possible even a couple months ago. And we work with SaaS companies. We help them. We take their closers and we book them solid with appointments. And we serve the role of an SDR or a BDR, really a team of BDRs and SDRs operating at really 10x efficiency or more. And we just light up sales teams' calendars like a Christmas tree. So that kind of gets us from where we started to where we are today.
Okay, so is there like a particular niche of SaaS company that you work with, or is it more sort of related to turnover?
So it's related the most to the ticket price and or the retention. So if the reason being is if you are a low ticket SaaS, let's just say you are selling something and you're doing a $5 a month deal, or even $100 a month can be challenging. It's really hard to support a sales team. You've got to be able to, if you're going to do outbound, you've got to have someone on the other end and be able to justify their commission. I mean, I prefer commission-only sales teams, frankly, commission-only account executives to close. And you can't incentivize that kind of a deal if they are, you're only getting $100 when you close, right? Someone pays us, let's just say they're paying us 10 grand in a month's time or whatever, depending on what they're doing. And their service is only $100 a month. You have to do a lot of deals to make that make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Yeah. Cool.
So that's how we carve it out. And the net result, I mean, we don't really work with people unless we can get like 10x, 20x return on their investment. And if you have a great SaaS product at that point, it's I mean, don't do demand if you can't do it right.
Yeah.
Right. But if you can do it right and you can afford a sales team, you can typically afford to do what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So maybe tell us a bit about your company, Leadrole.co, and also go into some details about your awesome closer system for high ticket service providers and SaaS startups.
Yeah, this is not your first time hearing about it either. So
that's right.
It's I'm excited to dive in. I know you know kind of what's in store here. So I think the audience will get a lot of benefit from it. So again, what Leadrole does, I mean, the net result is we've taken all of our learnings from literally doing this hundreds of times across every kind of industry, right? We don't just work with SaaS. We work with high ticket services. Remote selling is a must in whatever we do. So we only work with people, preferably at least that can sell anywhere in, let's say, the country, right? Because that opens up a large market. What we're able to do is find their leads based on intent. So we know who's in market. We can also resolve the identity of every visitor on their website. Maybe not every visitor. I should preface that. Actually, typically the lowest would be about 30% of visitors on their website, up to even 70% visitors on the website. Know their identities, do outbound to them. Imagine all of your demand generation activities, right? You're doing pay-per-click, but you don't know who the heck these people are. Imagine what you'd be able to do if you could identify the people visiting your website. I know you're affiliated in some ways with ClickFunnels, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if ClickFunnels actually knew everyone visiting their website, their name, their email, their phone number, and had a company like us to come in and do outbound to these people the right way and guarantee booked appointments on their sales team's calendar. If they weren't, of course, trying to drive all their traffic to webinars, then maybe that would make sense. But that's the kind of really interesting lift that we provide to SaaS companies. So what is the closer system? The closer system is our proprietary solution that we've created. It is our thesis. It is the most compact version of an effective marketing plan. And it consists of 6 parts. So these 6 parts are synonymous with the letters in the closure system: the C, the L, the O, the S, the E, the R. They all stand for something. Yeah. So the C is the first step in the process, and it stands for calculate the potential. So calculating the potential means that it's not enough to have some hunch about a marketing initiative or a sales initiative. It really means that you have to know with high degrees of certainty what is going to work for you and what's not going to work. You need to know the math around your situation. You got to know the opportunity cost of not taking proper action. You do a simple SEO search, figure out how many people are in your market every month and how many of those people are you actually reaching as a percentage or just as a number. And do the difference between the two. That's going to help you get to your opportunity cost. Figure out how much money am I leaving on the table by not capitalizing on this market and getting my name in front of these people, getting those people on the calendar. It's about knowing what you stand to gain in your ROI. It's about understanding your probabilities of success and failure. What happens if I use a cheap LinkedIn widget versus if I work with professionals, for example, right? Like, what's my probability of success?
Yep.
Knowing all that, knowing the capital impact. L stands for lead list development. And what that is, it's all about your ideal customer profile, creating your ideal customer profile, knowing how you're going to get your deals, and also being so smart about your data. The number one biggest reason companies fail to succeed in outbound is they really have crummy data. They're using LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
They're using cheap purchased lists. It's a good step forward if you are using companies like ZoomInfo or Clearbit, something like that. I'll give you a secret insight into this. Our data is second to none. Okay, so people like ZoomInfo, Clearbit, I mean, we sell data to people like them. Okay, that's how kind of up or on the food chain we really are.
Yep.
On this process. But that is an amazing place to be if you have the capital for it. But it's going to be pretty dang expensive, and you still have to do all of the outbound on your own, which is why lead list development isn't the only thing on it on the system, right? But if you have bad leads and you don't have intent, which is another element of this, you don't know who's in market. You're basically going to war. You're going to a sniper fight with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's looking for your solution. So you're only left with the ability to just hit as many people as you can. How much more effective would your outbound be if you actually knew, hey, John was looking for this specific solution, right? Or target people looking up a competitor, right? What if you are going after a company that's gigantic? Say you're going after Salesforce, right? Or ActiveCampaign, or even ClickFunnels. How much more, what if ClickFunnels could go after everyone looking at lead pages right now and know who they are? That is what should be done to get your optimal lift on your lead list development. It's not easy, it's not cheap, but it's very, very powerful. The O stands for Omnichannel Foundation. So that is setting up your foundations so that you can handle two of the bigger problems. One of the bigger problems in your outbound is always going to be the fact that the data is so clear. You will always have better results by hitting someone in multiple channels than in just one channel.
Yeah.
Always. The second point is this, that you have a big enemy out there if you're doing outbound, and that enemy is the spam box. You must be able to handle the spam box, and you need to know, well, actually, I'll just tell you how you need to do it. You've got to first set up a burner domain. So you set up a burner domain. You have to provision different email accounts for every salesperson in this new domain, so you're not harming your other reputation. If something goes sour, you can easily swap that out with a different domain. And what that means now is you've got to warm up that domain. And obviously, I don't mean you have to send one email, then 2, then 5, then 10. What a warm up means is you have to have 50% back and forth conversations to 50% outbound. So if I want to send 1,000 emails in a month, I've got to have 1,000 back and forth positive conversations with people marking me not spam and replying to me in order to achieve amazing results. By doing this, most companies have 40 to 60% spam rates.
Yeah.
We achieve anywhere from 2% to 0.5% spam rate across the board. The S is scripts and personalization. So what that means is you have got to design your campaign around what is working in outbound, and it's totally different than any other kind of email marketing you might have done. It's different than any kind of marketing period that you might have done. Most people get this wrong. They make excuses for outbound. They'll make funny jokes. They'll do just ridiculous things to try to get someone's attention. And a lot of times they really miss the mark on these outbound messages. So you've got to do it right. You've got to prepare, and it's not enough to just automate. So you can't just go buy a Lemlist or a Grasshopper and start sending cold emails and think that you're going to make a big impact in your sales. you can't automate. You actually have to research every person on your list and handwrite them a custom first line.
It's worth the effort. Yeah.
It's worth the effort.
Yes.
If you can do this and press into how hard it is, it's going to give you about a 15% lift in your outbound.
Yep.
Just from that in your responses. So between this and our scripts and personalization and the Omnichannel Foundation, right? So we conquer the spam box, but also your average agency will boast about a 20% response rate, or sorry, a 20% open rate, and at best, a 2% reply rate from their market. Not even in market, just total reply. Normally, people have sub 1% response from a nice cold list. Part of that's due to crappy data, but
okay,
we typically get between a 70 and 80% open rate on every email we send, and a 20 to 30%, sometimes up to 45% response rate. That's insane.
Agree.
That's totally insane. Imagine if you target, let's say, so we target 2,000 people at a minimum a month, and we handwrite every single first line for them. So we're hand researching them, we're hand qualifying every single person, we're writing them something unique, and that cuts right through the noise. And when they respond, people thank us for reaching out to them because we took the time to research them.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Right? Instead of being angry, they're like, man, I can't believe you actually researched me. The E stands for execution and process mapping. This is your action plan. It's how you're going to approach your outbound. You need to know every single variable. For those interested, they can go to leadrole.co, reach out to us. You can even reach out to me, Kemp at venturetactics.com. That's our legal entity. And I'll send you our bulletproof diagram for execution. Or actually just go to leadrole.co, take a quiz, and we'll send you our diagrams. But you should know exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to handle every kind of lead, how you're going to handle the no's, how you're going to handle the neutral responses, the positive responses. What are you going to do to get that call? What are you going to do to make sure that that positive response turns into a showed up appointment on the calendar that someone actually attends and buys from you? It's all the lead chasing. And finally, reporting and optimization is the R. It's the last step in the closer system. And that means that it's not enough to just do outbound. You've got to know your data. You got to know your key performance indicators, your KPIs. You own a SaaS company. It's all about your data. It's all about your reporting. And you use that information to optimize. So most campaigns do really well, but there might be a 50% lift that you can get on that campaign, and you only know that you can get there if you're split testing, right? And so we will actively split test every single month to ensure that we don't take for granted what could be by settling with what is. So, 12 months of doing what we do, someone not only has amazing, just tons of appointments on the calendar, but also just an amazing lift on their positioning. They now know what people respond to. You can use that for your ads. You can use it for your website. There's a lot there with that, but this is all about outbound. We could have a whole nother episode talking about what to do with your website, what to do with your paid ads, whole other angles to this. We have systems and processes for that too, but we don't, we're not selling that right now, but we know how to make it work for sure. And if you're trying to do outbound, before you ever begin, calculate the potential, do the proper lead list development, get that list, set up your Omnichannel Foundation correctly, set up your scripts and personalization, handwrite every first line, get your execution and process mapping done. You know what you're going to do, and you control the process. You control that customer journey start to finish, and then reporting and optimization, every KPI, every detail, emails, phone numbers, as much data as you can acquire on that person is going to get you to that next level of gigantic. I mean, if you are at If you're stuck in six figures, this process will help you get to your first million in ARR. If you're at $1 million, this will help you get to 5 million ARR. If you're at 5 million, it'll help you get to 20 million. If you're at 20, it'll help you get to 50 million ARR. Yeah. That's the kind of deliverable that we offer as a service.
The formula for scaling, basically.
It is. It is how you scale. It's all about demand.
Yeah.
Controlling demand, controlling your conversions. That's the future of businesses. Not going to get a whole lot of funding in the future if you don't have a very keen control on your demand.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we've talked a bit about KPIs and reporting. So I'm just curious, in your opinion, what's the number one most important metric that early SaaS founders must sort of like watch like a hawk on a daily basis? What do you reckon?
Yeah, with the important metric to watch, it's going to be your demo rate. It's going to be your trial to close rate, right? Knowing that juncture, because if you bring on someone like us and we just generate trials like a beast or generate demos like a beast, you got to know your conversions on that number. Like, how many deals am I closing out of my total leads prospected? Because then it just becomes a math game. Then I know, you got a SaaS company you can scale, right? Scale your dev, scale your customer success. It's not that hard. Compared to like service businesses anyway, it's not that hard. It is hard. Don't get me wrong. But that's why SaaS is such an amazing model. And then the next metric they need to always know, I would say, is the churn rate, right? Yeah. So you get appointments on the calendar, but they need to close. And then to the degree that you can keep them is the degree that you can have enough lifetime value in that deal to do proper demand one way or the other. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've talked a bit about outbound. What about regarding inbound? So from your experience, what are the most effective customer acquisition channels for growing a young SaaS company in terms of ROI? Yeah, so your most effective acquisition channels for SaaS companies, you're going to have three. So the first one is your outbound sales. This is going to be getting the word out. It's going to be your cold email. It's going to be your outbound LinkedIn. It's going to be your cold calls or voicemail drops or whatever you're doing. And that's, if you're high ticket, do that. If you're not high ticket, you could do the next ones. But if you are high ticket, the next ones still apply. Second, I would say you need to really invest in a high converting sales website. I like to say that, the number one threat to someone having a high converting sales asset that is their website is the fact that they can get websites for free, right? Yeah, true. They can go and they can get cheap websites, or they're going to try and do it themselves a lot of the time. And they really don't know what they don't know. They are not expert copywriters. They are not expert strategists when it comes to developing proper funnels, right? Or really knowing how your whole website connects and combining things together in the way that they should be combined, developing all of your sales letters and assets, and of course, all of the reporting on the back end and all of your analytics and tweaking and conversion optimization. So invest cash into getting your converting sales website done. That's number two. And then of course, I would say highly targeted paid search traffic would be my third one. I prefer AdWords a lot of the time. But search intent. What was that? Search intent rather than the socials. Search intent. Yeah. Yeah. Search intent rather than just social platforms, unless you already know that they have intent, in which case you can use that data to train the algorithm, which is kind of what we do. So we take the intent data that we supply with Leadroll, we use that to train the Facebook algorithm, work with someone's PPC team, and that gives them the algorithmic lift that they need in order to have their targeting just amazing. Plus, of course, if they are utilizing our site visitor identity resolution, all of a sudden, you do those three things. You have a high converting sales website. You drive great traffic there. You resolve their identities. You do outbound sales to them. And also you do outbound sales to the intent, drives back to the website. The cycle just continues, right? Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So just pivoting on that, what are the most common mistakes that inexperienced SaaS founders make, in your opinion?
Oh man, it's a lot of mistakes young founders make, man, for sure. But
Yeah.
I think
Well,
the
maybe
biggest
the
mistake,
main ones. Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh, there's so easy. It's so much easier to fail than it is to succeed. But our philosophy is fail fast, right? Fail fast.
Okay.
Most
Yep.
common mistake you're going to make out there as a listener is you're going to be very tempted to play the short game, to use scrappy growth hack solutions and widgets to solve problems that aren't really solving them in the right way, to instead of really focusing on doing it right the first time. I mean, I can't tell you how much money companies spend. Like, that's why marketing agencies have a bad rap, because everyone likes to go cheap. They want to go cheap. They want to find that budget, and they get sold a bag of goods, and they don't have all the process or the case studies or everything else to back it up. And even if they do, and it's only $500, right? It's like, good luck, right? It's not gonna transform your business. Shortcuts don't solve anything. That's my best advice to you.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So what are you curious about or researching right now regarding software and lead generation?
Yeah, software that I find super interesting is stuff involving artificial intelligence. I think that was, it's always been a buzzword for a long time. People use that and they don't really mean it. But I'm keenly involved in some artificial intelligence initiatives that are the real thing, that are not just machine learning either, but not sentient intelligence, right? I'm just talking about real artificial intelligence. So that interests me a lot. And I'm also looking for synergies out there between our amazing data, because we can provide, I mean, we have the keys to the kingdom with our data, right? So it doesn't exist out there. I mean, I'm talking billions and billions of data points on just about everybody, right?
Yeah.
25 million plus people that I know pretty much everything on. And I know when they're shopping around. I know when think about retention, right? Let's say you're not a startup listening to this. You are someone rather big, and you want to know when your massive client base is shopping around for other solutions, or maybe you want to know, you're a lender and you want to know when someone's doing a credit pool. Like, I know all of that information. I know people's taxes. I know everything. Okay. So I'm keenly interested to find out, and all legally, by the way,
Okay. Yeah.
100% above board. And being able to take this kind of information and turn it into usable intelligence and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there. And so, we'd be more than happy if you're listening to this and you're a SaaS founder and you want to give us a % of equity in exchange for that kind of data. We can change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So just curious, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book, my favorite book is the Bible. Just to be frank with you, I like the book of Proverbs. Got some amazing business. It's an amazing piece of business literature, oddly enough. And secondly, I really like the book, The Challenger Sale. It's a rock solid, tried and true book that I just keep coming back to.
Who's the author of that one?
Oh, The Challenger Sale? I don't know.
Can't remember.
I have no idea.
No problem.
But it's really good. It outlines a great a sales process, as it should be. If you don't have a decent sales process, it goes through why you shouldn't be a relationship builder salesperson, but you should be a challenger salesperson, and go through lead to the sale, not with the sale. Great advice there in your marketing. Even if you've got a website right now and all you do is on your homepage is list a bunch of features and benefits, I'm telling you right now, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong. You should call, you should email us. I have nothing to sell on that, but we can probably point you in the right direction on how to do that stuff right. Frankly, copy is such a big mistake, and proper applying good sales process to your marketing is going to save your butt in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So just to wrap up, where can people go to find out more about Leadroll?
Look, if you go to leadroll.co, that's leadroll.co, there's a ton of great information there. You can learn more about the closer system. You can watch some videos from me going deeper into the process. There's enough there that if you can learn about that information, don't even have to work with us and be light years ahead of the competition in terms of what's working and what's not working right now. I mean, our fingers are on the pulse of this. And of course, you can always find me on LinkedIn, Tyler Kemp. I help with growth, and be happy to help in any way I can. Like that's what helping startups succeed, helping SaaS companies succeed is part of what really drives me. And we are always in acquisition mode. So, constantly looking at amazing SaaS opportunities to invest in. So if, you're out there and you are ready to liquidate and you've hit 7 figures and you got some cash flow to you, you want to have your payday, let us know.
Cool. All right, then. Thanks for being on the show, Tyler. I appreciate your time. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, cool.